since October. You'll remember the Shraddha Walker murder case. The Delhi police have prepared a 3,000-page draft charge sheet against Aftab Poonawalla, who allegedly murdered his live-in partner Shraddha Walker, and you'll remember cut her body into 35 pieces before scattering them across the city. Now, police have collected that 3,000-page draft sheet after conducting multiple interrogations and collecting the testimonies of over 100 witnesses. Let's go over to my colleague Anshul. He's been covering this case with us since October. Let's go over to him for more details on this entire story. Anshul, can you just explain to our audiences what is the role of a charge and what does the culmination of a 3,000-page charge sheet, what does that?
So yes, I'll try and explain it through the law. So the entire procedure of investigation that goes on within the police is that has been the finding police that is noted piece of paper is known as the charge sheet. So yes, this charge sheet that has been filed by the Delhi police or that has been made by the Delhi police at this point in time, it has been made well before 90 days. In approximately 70 to 72 days, the Delhi police has been able to complete its entire investigation and culminate it into a piece of paper that would be submitted in front of the Saket court today. So yes, in this charge sheet, if you see, we have been bringing our viewers up to date since November 12th, when this entire incident happened and Aftab was taken into custody by the Delhi police. We have been keeping our viewers up to date with the entire investigation of the Delhi police since day one. And if you see the entire scope of investigation that has widened by the Delhi police, starting from the house in the national capital where the actual murder took place and where Shraddha was cut into pieces, from there to places where Shraddha and Aftab went for holidaying, for example, places like Kullu, places in Kullu such as Tosh, Kasol, etc. And also police teams had gone to Mumbai to investigate with the family and also the polygraph test that was conducted on Aftab Poonawalla, and also the kind of weapons that were found inside the residence of Aftab and from wherever Aftab pointed them to, the kind of weapons that have been found from there. Their DNA samples and their forensic reports have also been mentioned in this very, very important charge sheet, and the manner in which we saw that the body parts of Shraddha were found at places where Aftab had actually pointed that he had thrown those body parts. So yes, the DNA samples and the FSL reports of those bones have also been submitted in that charge sheet.
Can I just ask you a quick follow-up question, because then we do need to go over to Ananya. I just want to understand from you, in the months after this case came to light, one of the big questions for the police was how much can we believe Aftab's version of the story? I want to understand from you, you had told us that Aftab apparently in those interrogations kept changing the details up when he was talking to police. Can you, now that 3,000-page charge sheet has been filed, I'm sure you don't have all the details, but can you give us some indication of how much of what Poonawalla was saying turned out to be accurate?
So yes, this was an absolutely blind murder case, because if you see, there was no body that was found, there was no weapon that was found, and hence it was a blind murder case for the Delhi police to solve. And the only on which they very close to truth, or probably truth in some cases as well, and that is the reason why the Delhi police had no other option but to believe on Aftab. And as Aftab had pointed out to a few places where he had thrown those body parts and the murder weapon that he used to kill and disincarcerate Shraddha, that was also found by the Delhi police from the exact locations on which Aftab had pointed out. Okay. So hence the Delhi police has now a story that was given by Aftab, and now they have those evidences that they have been able to gather through their investigation, and now these evidences that has been mentioned in that piece of paper would be presented in front of the court. as a charge sheet. Now, arguments on this charge sheet would happen in the coming few days. But yes, at this point in time, the biggest update is that the Delhi police has been able to complete its entire investigation in a time span of almost 72 days, which means that Aftab would not be given a bail, because remember, there is a clause in this entire investigation that is being done by the Delhi police in murder cases. If in 90 days the police fails to file that charge sheet, then bail becomes the right of the accused, which meant that if the Delhi police would not have been able to file that charge sheet in the 90 days, they could have asked for an extension. But yes, Aftab would have gotten bail, which meant that a person with that mentality could have been out on the roads yet again. So the Delhi police making sure that it doesn't happen. They have been able to file this charge sheet in 72 days, and we could expect the hearing.
Just stay with us. Let's go over to the colleague who's with us on the story with some breaking news we've got coming in this same story. According to the Delhi police charge sheet that we're highlighting right now, initial details of which we're being able to highlight right now, Poonawalla killed Shraddha a day after the national capital. This is the only day that Shraddha was away from Aftab is the day before she was killed. Now, I'll bring you more details, but in to realize that and test both conducted by the police non-admissible in. Let's go over to my colleague to understand more of what that means. First, share details that we found out about Shraddha's movements, and then if we could then come to you for more understanding of the narco and the polygraph test and how police will then build a case if they can't use either tests in court.
Well, this on the electronic evidence, it is also relying on the digital evidence, including the messages and the communication that were between Shraddha and Aftab, and also the forensic reports or the DNA report. Remember that this is a clear case of circumstantial evidence, and Delhi police has its own circumstantial theory, which has been corroborated with cogent technical evidence. What a cogent technical evidence is that the technical evidence, which includes CDRs, which includes digital evidences, which support the theory of the prosecution as to how a particular person's guilt is made out. So the Delhi police's 3,000-page charge sheet not only includes the narco test, not only includes the polygraph test report, but also in fact the forensic reports wherein the body parts were of Shraddha, the DNA sampling was done, the DNA was actually made, in fact matched, and that would also serve as one of the most important evidence. But what the Delhi police is mostly relying on is also the digital evidence, the conversations between Shraddha and her friends, between Shraddha and Aftab and various other people in this particular case. 3,000 plus pages of charge sheet that would be filed before Delhi Saket Court. This is Aviral Shukla where this particular charge sheet would file. According to the procedures, the charge sheet would be first filed before the filing counter of the court, then it would go for marking to the principal and district and sessions judge of the Saket court, and then the charge sheet would come in the concerned court. The police would inform the court that this charge sheet has been filed, and as Anshul was also pointing out, the chance of a default bail, which is a right under the CRPC, that is the Code of Criminal Procedure, that if a police fails to file the charge sheet within the stipulated period of 90 days when it comes to the cases of murder, the accused is granted bail. But then in this particular case, only in 72 days the police has filed the particular charge sheet. Usually the investigation agencies wait for the last day to actually file and conclude their probe. However, in this case, the Delhi police's South District has made a strong case, and in fact this whole charge sheet has been very legally on a lot of digital evidence, including WhatsApp chats, including the communications that were there between Aftab, between Shraddha, and their phones, their social media accounts, and the testimonies of their friends and family members. And also, in fact, the narco test would be taken up, but only as a part to support the corroborative theory of the Delhi police. Because remember, neither the narco or the polygraph are a kind of admissible evidence in court, because they are always considered to be a confession before the police, which is non-admissible in court. And also remember that, as you were asking Anshul as well, the whole theory is based mostly, has come out on the basis of Aftab's disclosure. Though he had kept on to cut the body or to kill Shraddha in this particular case, but At the same point of time, the Delhi police, with its 3,000-page charge sheet, is very, very confident that the guilt of Aftab Poonawala would be established. But in cases of circumstantial evidence, it is a slightly difficult task to prove the guilt of a person, because there has to be what we call in legal parlance no reasonable doubt. There should be no doubt when in fact a particular person's guilt is being established by the police. Now, what no reasonable doubt actually means is that even if this particular evidence is removed, even if this particular part that you are relying on is removed, then also the guilt of that particular person is actually established, is something that the Delhi police's prosecutors, one of the finest prosecutors the Delhi police has, is leading this particular matter. And we might see as to some what kind of argument is given by him when the matter actually comes at the time of charges, framing of charges, and also at
move on very on its last leg. It's in Jammu and Kashmir as we speak. And yes,